If you guys have ever been to a comic book show and a trading card show, I'm curious, which one do you think was more fun? And maybe it was different 10, 20 years ago compared to the way it is today. Well, I went to a trading card show just before Christmas, and I know I'm just getting around to putting the video together, but I'm going to show you some video of that show, and I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about the difference between what I saw at the trading card show and how it compares to the hundreds of comic book shows that I've been to. And if you've watched my YouTube videos, right, you've seen them as well. But you might be a little bit surprised, or maybe not, as to what the card show was like and my feelings of how it compares to comic book shows. All right. So take a look and then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, so I told all of you that I was done with comic shows for the year, and that's still true. But there is a card show going on at the same place they have Motor City Comic Con out here in Novi, Michigan, and I thought I'd check it out. No charge to park, no charge for admission, so why not? I figured we'd go in, see what it's like. And by the way, a lot of cars here, but I think there are a couple different things going on. I think they have some sort of dinosaur exhibit as well, but we're gonna go in. So I think they have something like 200 tables, and we're gonna see what kind of stuff they have here. So we're gonna go in, check it out, and see if they have any comic books, and maybe we'll buy some cards. We'll see. All right, let's go in. We can always jump in the car. Wow. All right, this is pretty impressive. Woo-hoo! Holy smokes, yeah, right there. Okay, walk right into this room, and there is a whole bunch of excitement. It is buzzing. Absolutely buzzing. All right, we're gonna walk around a little bit. I'll get some video, but I gotta get my bearings here, see what's what. All right. Didn't take us long. Some comics here. Probably a bunch of modern stuff. But that's all right. We're not going to search through right now. We're going to keep walking around looking, but my goodness, people. It is packed in here. A lot of youth. A lot of youth in trading cards.
Merry Christmas, dude.
Wow.
See you, man.
All right, we're gonna keep going. All right, so I thought it was gonna be more sports cards than anything, but I swear it's like 90% Pokemon, which is hot, right? Pokemon is unbelievably hot. Everywhere you go, there's a little bit of sports stuff over here. Pokemon, Magic, One Piece, well, Funkos. They've infiltrated card shows as well. But anyway, yeah, the TCG world is bigger than ever, and I know almost nothing about it. All right, we're gonna keep going here, see if we can find more comics, maybe some Marvel cards. Garbage Pail Kids, it's not bad. All right, let's keep going.
330 and 350, and one of them back at 10.
Everybody's talking about One Piece. And guys, I know nothing about this stuff, but I thought, hey, why not? Free show, huge show. Card Show, the Michigan Card Show. Free admission, free parking, tons of tables, and I just wanted to see what's the atmosphere like.
Taking me on an adventure.
And I'll tell you,
$6,000.
it is impressive. Just the excitement. I don't know. It's hard to put into words. Here's some sports stuff. All right. Like I said, hard to put into words, you guys, but this is just next level type of stuff. All right. Let me try and get a little more focused in my search here. All right, that's the first hint of Marvel I've seen so far. All right, I gotta get in here. There's some Marvel cards that we want to take a look at. All right, we'll come back. All the tables are busy. All right, keep searching for some Marvel stuff or DC. But again, yes, we're looking for comics, but we're at a card show. So looking for anything Marvel, DC, any comic-related cards. All right, the search continues.
Okay. If they're like, well, it depends on what it is.
I was gonna say I have a whole list.
Yeah.
But I know you're dealing with him.
Yeah, let me finish with this gentleman real quick.
We're just chit chatting.
It's not bad. At 120 a card, it's actually not bad.
Oh yeah, what do you
But I would have to go through it and look up comps, and it would take me a minute. Are you going to be here all day?
Probably not all day, but I'm going to stick around.
Can you check back in with me just before you leave? And in between, I'll try to look it up.
Okay.
So.
You want? Should I leave those with you, or do you want me to take
No,
them?
no,
Okay.
you take these with you. I don't want. I don't want
Not that responsibility?
I don't want that responsibility. No, sir. So.
Thanks for taking a look.
Absolutely, and then just check back in, and hopefully I'll have time.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, it's got
which,
like 11 packs
who knows?
total,
Yeah,
and
so,
then it's like.
Based on a little bit I've been here.
Quick question for you. Sorry, I don't know Pokemon very well. Is that Seal Booster from 2000?
Yes.
You guys have a price on it? It's so expensive, we don't know.
It's expensive, yeah.
I'm just curious, though.
I know it's up there. But
15K around? Okay. And what about your packs?
How much is this?
let's ask the big man right here.
Okay. All right. All right. So we think the box. This is second year Pokemon, right? 2000. Yeah. So maybe around 15K. 15K or best offer. What about your two packs?
Charizard is 14 and Venusaur is 11. If you're doing cash, it would be 22.50 for the pair.
14K, 11 or 22 for the pair. Yeah. All right. Impressive stuff. I'll be back.
Thank you, absolutely.
All right. We've got shoes here as well. They're selling shoes. All right, let's keep going. guys, more shoes. It's a card show. It's the Michigan Card and Shoe Show. Oh, it's kind of cool though. I get it. Shoes are a big deal. A lot of money spent on collectible shoes. All right, we found some Marvel cards. We're going to see if we can make a deal on some things. All right, but all right, I know you guys are tired of hearing me say this, but again, the level of energy at this show is like nothing I've ever seen at any comic book show. But we'll talk more about that. We're going to see if we can buy some things, and then at the end, when I'm back home doing my my final speech, we'll talk more about that. Okay, so that was it. That was the Michigan Card Expo, and I think it used to be called the Motor City Card Show or Motor City Card Expo, something like that. And for some reason, they changed it to the Michigan Comic Expo. I kind of thought it would be the other way around. Like Motor City seems to have a better ring to it than Michigan, but whatever. Who am I? I think it's safe to say you could tell from my reaction during the card show that I was really impressed with it. And this, we're just going to talk about for a couple minutes about my thoughts on the show and how it compares to comic book shows. And I go to them, I think on average, maybe every other weekend I go to some kind of show. And so I have a lot of experience there, as a lot of you do out there as well. But I will say this. First of all, let me say I left the show without buying anything. There were very few comics. I think the beginning of the show I showed you, there were 1 or 2 boxes of comics there. That was it. I panned through them a little bit later. I don't think I took any video of it because there was really nothing to show. But there were some PSA 10 Marvel cards that I was looking at buying in a couple Marvel boxes. And I ended up not buying anything just because, not because the prices were outlandish. I don't think they were. But I just decided that, if I'm going to spend my money on cards, there's probably some different product that I would like to get my hands on first before I buy those things there. Okay, so again, no secret how I felt about that show. And let's talk about it. How does it compare to comic book shows? Not an apples to apples comparison, because the Michigan Card Expo that I was at, it was not like the National, which I've done a video on before, right? Which is the biggest of the big. It's like the San Diego Comic-Con of card shows, which happens every summer, I think maybe in the August timeframe. But this was just a local card show, and not like your mom and pop card show. It was a little bit of a step up because it was at the place where Motor City Comic-Con is at, but it was in a small room. You guys know Motor City Comic-Con, right? Huge floor, massive, massive floor. I've done tons of videos on that. This was just a side room off of that main floor. So it was small, but I think it had about 200 tables in there, and you could see it was absolutely packed. Absolutely packed. And there was a buzz, and yeah, they were playing Christmas music and stuff, and everyone was excited for Christmas. Again, it was 5 days before Christmas, something like that. So a lot of excitement in the air. The energy level, I keep saying that, and you're probably going to be sick of me saying that, but that is the key word here. The energy level at a card show like that, I would say, is off the charts compared to anything I've seen at local comic book shows. And the comic book shows are very sparsely populated. You'll see it, right? You will go in there, and I'll go into the parking lot first and show video of that. And there are, 10 or 20 cars there. And then you go into the show, and you can pretty much go to any table at a comic book show and have it all to yourself. Maybe one other person there. At this show, you could see multiple people. I had to keep coming back, hoping to get into a table that I wanted to see some stuff at. because there were just too many people hanging around and looking at things. And it was a little bit different because this card show had very little sports cards, very little. And I went in there under the impression that it would be mostly sports cards, and then, the non-sports stuff would be a minor part of it. Man, it was the complete opposite. Like I said, it was probably 90% non-sports, and a large majority of that was Pokemon. And do I know anything about Pokemon? Not really, but it's hot right now. And prices are, I think, for the most part, peaking on Pokemon. I hear a lot of people say, those prices have peaked, and I don't know if they're going down yet or not, in the past couple months, but I know leading up to Christmas, the hottest thing in town was getting Pokemon stuff, and it's kind of been like that for a few years, but I think prices have continued to go up, and I have no data. I haven't done any, sales analysis on that stuff, but the TCG, I think is what they call it, trading card games for Pokemon, Magic, what else? One Piece is the other thing I kept hearing about when I was there. I don't think those prices have shown nearly as big of a crash on the vintage stuff as what you've seen in the comic book market. Now, let me say this. In the card arena, a lot of the newer stuff is what continues to be hot. And I think we can say there is some of that with comic books as well, right? I think Absolute Batman is a very good example. I did a video on it a few weeks ago. There's a lot of excitement around Absolute Batman and I think the Absolute Universe from DC. Is there a lot of excitement over Marvel Comics or anything DC aside from maybe the Absolute Universe? Not like what I'm seeing in trading cards. And it's not to say they aren't there. I say it all the time. I hope there is a younger generation that is really excited about comics and wants to buy new comics. But when you go to comic book shows, you do not see youth there. You just don't look at any of my videos. It's all guys like me, some guys a little bit older, some guys a little bit younger, but very few younger people are going to comic book shows. When you go to a Comic-Con, like Motor City, New York, San Diego Comic-Con, C2E2, yes, you've got tens of thousands of people that go to those shows, but how many of those people are going to look at comic books? A very small percentage is because Comic-Cons are anything but comic books anymore, right? The big shows. It's a small percentage of comics and a large percentage of everything else, from toys to dressing up to buying swords. The key to this whole discussion is, I think, the youth factor, right? Kids. The comic book industry is not seeing a huge growth in younger people getting into the hobby. And what's my data behind that? Nothing other than what I see at shows, right? They're just not there. Even the big shows, right? When you go to the comic book stands or booths, they're not there. Very, very few. Every once in a while, you see a young kid right there with his dad or his mom or, whomever, some friends. And, it's a good sign, right? It's a good feeling. But it is nothing like trading cards. When I did the video from the National, not this past summer, wasn't able to go, but the summer before, the amount of kids at that show, and I pointed it out, right? You go to little areas that, a vendor sets up like Tops, right? Huge vendor. And they've just got hundreds and hundreds of kids sitting around, and they're giving away packs of trading cards, and they're having contests with the cards that you open up, and they get you really excited about it. There isn't nearly as much of that as at the big Comic-Cons, right? And certainly not at these little shows. So the key is, I'm doing a lot of rambling here, but I think the main point is that the younger generation is not getting into comic books like we got into when we were kids, right? In the 70s and the 80s, maybe even a little bit into the 90s before the big crash, right? Before everything was overprinted with millions of copies. There were a lot of younger people that were getting into comics. Again, I didn't buy anything just because, I'm very, very selective on what I get for trading cards, and they just didn't have it there. Whereas at a comic book show, there's a lot, right? My focus is much broader, and I can find a lot of stuff that I like at comic book shows. Now, here is the disclaimer. I do not know how that show compares to maybe a slightly smaller, I still call that a local comic book show because it was such a small room, but again, packed to the hilt with people. Now, if I find another card show that happens maybe like once a month, I don't know how often this Michigan Card Expo happens. I don't know if it's a couple times a year, once a year. I should have looked that up, but I have not. Maybe a smaller card show, maybe that would be similar to what we see at comic book shows, right? Maybe it wouldn't be as packed, right? Maybe it'd be more sparsely attended. But something tells me, I'm going to run that study, by the way. I'm going to find where some other local shows are, and I'm going to go to one or two of them and maybe do a follow-up on this video. But something tells me that we're going to see more younger people, and we're going to see more people going to these shows. And again, the TCG trading card game, different products. Again, what did I say? Pokemon, Magic, One Piece. What else is there? You guys probably know better than I do. Yu-Gi-Oh! I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of on the lower end in terms of popularity, but still going strong from what I can tell, relatively speaking. But all those brands and products are just killing it in the market. And maybe even hotter than sports cards. But I do know, when you go to a card show like the National, Sports Cards has a huge presence there, and there's so many kids interested in that. And for some reason, this show wasn't as focused on sports cards. But that's it. That's my take. And again, I did a lot of rambling, and I think the key comes back to youth and kids getting involved. I don't think the prices were outlandish on a lot of the stuff that I saw. Oh, you saw that Pokemon box. It was the second year of Pokemon. They were asking $15,000 for it. I don't know if that's a good price or not, right? If you're doing cash, they were willing to accept a lot more. Would they have accepted like $12,000? I don't know. I wasn't going to buy it, but so I couldn't tell you. I showed you some close-ups of pictures of some other Pokemon boxes that were like $2,000, $1,500. But even if those prices were 20 or 30% inflated, that's still pretty strong prices for sealed product, which is the key, right? In trading cards, sealed product is king. The individual cards, yes, sell really well if you have good hits or if you get really good grades on, I'll call, key cards. But sealed product, right? 90+ % of what you open in boxes or packs is going to be, very, very low value. I won't say worthless, but very low value, like dollar cards, 10-cent cards, whatever. But if you keep those products sealed, they're worth a lot more. So that's my take. I had a lot of fun. It was a blast. I spent a couple hours there, probably like 3 hours total. I know it was only about 10 minutes of video, but I was talking to a lot of people behind the scenes about just trying to get a little more educated and what's hot for them. And so let me know your thoughts. I know there's not a lot of data. This was just a subjective discussion here, but I had a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to going to more of these shows just to understand it a little better. And the National, I hope I can go to the National again this coming summer, because when I went 2 years ago, it was great. I had a lot of fun there, bought some stuff because there was so much to choose from. And I'm really hoping to do another video on that again. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Give me your comments. I hope everyone had a great start to the new year. Looking forward to a whole bunch of new content in 2026. Until next time, have a great day.